Our headlines for tonight. Jesus Nazarene devotees line up early morning for the pahalik. Department of Budget and Management and Finance Chair affirms vetoed 43.2 billion pesos on program no impact on salary and benefits of the government workers. Number of unemployed Filipinos in November declines according to Philippine Statistics Authority. Venezuela to hand over up to 50 million barrels of oil to US according to Trump. Good evening, bring the latest news for tonight. I am KRIZZA LOPEZ and this is Eurotv News Thread. The details on our broadcast. Days before the feast of Jesus Nazarene, thousands of devotees have begun lining up as early as dawn to take part in the traditional pahalik in Quirino Grandstand despite changes in this year's arrangements. Here's the report.
Days before the feast of Jesus Nazarene, devotees have begun fulfilling their religious vows. On the first day of the pahalik to the Nazarene, long lines of devotees are already forming. Although the pahalik will only open later at 6 in the evening after the mass, many devotees patiently waited for the chance to come close and pay their respects to the Black Nazarene. Sally, who lined up as early as 5 o'clock in the morning to take part in the pahalik, but she was surprised by the changes implemented by the Minor Basilica and National Shrine of Jesus Nazarene, also known as Quiapo Church. Last year, the pahalik was opened earlier to the public. According to Sally, they were informed that the first 100 senior citizens might be allowed entry to approach the image of Jesus Nazarene ahead of others.
So, kanina may advice nila na ang first 100 hindi na nila ipapasok. Kaya hanggang until now, nag-aantabay kami na papasok.
Despite this, she said they are willing to wait until 6 in the evening to attend the Holy Mass together with her grandchild. She added that attending Mass during the Feast of the Nazarene is part of the religious vows. While Nanay Sally is willing to wait until 6 in the evening, Nanay Connie, who came all the way from Cavite, decided to wait only until noon, hoping they would be allowed to enter and go up to the grandstand.
Pero hindi nyo na pumitain yung misa dito.
Hindi na siguro. Hindi na. Baka mamaya uwi na kami.
Nanay Connie shared that all her prayers to the Black Nazarene have been answered, especially for the good health and well-being of her family.
Lahat, madami. Magandang, walang magkasakit. Ang mga apo ko nagtatrabaho.
Meanwhile, Nanay Linda continues her devotion to Poong Nazareno even after the passing of her husband, offering prayers for their livelihood.
Mahalaga talaga. Yan ang panata ko talaga mula nung magsimple na to, panata ko na to.
Marife, accompanied by her sibling, became emotional when asked about her constant prayers to Poong Nazareno. She said she always prays for the good health of her loved ones.
Naiiyak ako. Ako kasi yung breadwinner. Sa health, kaso nawala sila. Ito lang November tsaka July.
Mami, I'm sorry. Sino yung lagi nyo dinadasal?
Pamilya, tsaka trabaho, mga anak.
As they wait for the opening of the pahalik, many devotees brought chairs, mats, and umbrellas to shield themselves from the heat of the sun and possible rain. Devotees were also advised to bring plenty of drinking water. Authorities are already deployed in significant numbers at Quirino Grandstand to ensure security and order for the Feast of the Nazarene. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
As millions of devotees prepare for the annual Traslasyon, the Department of Health has placed hospitals on code white alert and deployed emergency response teams along the procession route to ensure public safety. Vanessa Cleofas with the details.
The Department of Health or DOH announced that code white alert in all DOH hospital in Metro Manila and nearby regions will remain until January 10 before and after Traslasyon 2026 to be held in January 9. The agency said 20 health emergency response team stations deployed near the route of the Andas of Jesus Nazareno, which will serve as support for devotees that may experience illnesses. Health Department assured that it is not only hospitals that are being prepared on the day of the Traslasyon, but also its personnel who will serve as a first responders to devotees who may experience dizziness and other medical concerns. Based on the guidelines released by the agency, 2 DOH health station each will be located at Quirino Grandstand, Rizal Park Rojas Boulevard, the National Museum Exit Point, Cebuana Luwelier near SM Manila, and 12 others location. In addition, the DOH strongly reminds the public that if they experience dizziness, chest pain, difficulty breathing, extreme thirst, severe fatigue, or any of these symptoms, it is best to immediately go to the nearest health stations for first aid to prevent more serious complications. Meanwhile, several days before the Traslasyon, the DOH also held a meeting with the Manila LGU and representative of the Minor Basilica of Jesus Nazareno to discuss the agency's role on the actual day of the event. This is Vanessa Cleofas for Eurotv News.
The Department of Budget and Management and Senate leaders are pushing back against claims that government workers will suffer from the vetoed unprogrammed funds in the 2026 national budget. Officials insist salaries, benefits, and hiring will remain unaffected despite the controversial budget cuts. Mia Layagin tells us more.
Following the signing of the 2026 General Appropriations Act, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. vetoed over 92.5 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds aimed at preventing corruption in the government. Among the amounts vetoed is the 43.2 billion pesos allotted for payment of personal services requirements, which ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino claimed to negatively impact funding for salaries and benefits of government employees, including teachers and uniformed personnel. On this amount, Tino noted that 10.8 billion pesos for hiring of new personnel and regularization were cut, as well as the 32.47 billion pesos allotted for leave and retirement benefits of uniformed personnel. Tino argued that with the fund vetoed, release of salaries and benefits of government workers will be delayed over the guise of lack in funding. The Department of Budget and Management, however, debunked these claims, emphasizing that funding for salaries and benefits remain intact under the 2026 GAA. DBM clarified that the 24 billion pesos allotted for the subsistence allowance for uniformed personnel were simply transferred from Miscellaneous Personal Benefits Fund or MPBF to the concerned agency's budgets. Hence, the funding for this matter was directly given to the budget of the respective agencies, and that this won't be affected despite the veto. This response was once again criticized by Tino, noting that the issue is not the 24 billion pesos under MPBF, rather the 43.2 billion pesos in unprogrammed funds vetoed by the President. When asked about this matter, Senate Finance Committee Chair Sherwin Gatchalian supported DBM's arguments, affirming that under the 2026 GAA, salaries and benefits for government employees are not affected.
In my analysis, dahil dumoble yung amounts, saka tumaas yung amounts, hindi ko nakikita na madidelay. At hindi ko rin makikita na hindi mabibigay yung due to them. Nasabi ko, 2025, ang miscellaneous benefit and personal fund is 39 billion. For 2026 is 77 billion. Nadoble siya. So, in other words, yung requirement ng 2025, dinoble pa for 2026. So, it's more than enough. Yung pension for 2025 is 144 billion. In 2026, it's 165 billion. So, tumaas siya ng 21 billion. So, in other words, yung requirement for 2025, tumaas pa for 2026.
Gatchalian said that despite the veto, there will be still enough budget to fund and address the salaries and hiring within the government.
meron na kasing items sa MPBF na pwede namang gamitin kung kailangan i-augment. So that's the way I understand dun sa veto message. So in other words, yung MPBF kasi ginagamit rin yan sa, let's say, kailangan mo ng kumuha at hindi siya nakasama doon sa 2026 budget mo. Ito yung standby fund na pwede mong gamitin, kumuha ng tao. Kung kukuha ka ng tao. Pero kung hindi ka naman kukuha ng tao, kasi nagre-right sizing din tayo, then wala kang paggagamitan.
This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
The Department of Education is tightening its senior high school voucher system after uncovering millions of pesos worth of ghost beneficiaries as it moves to prevent further misuse of public funds. Vanessa Cleofas returns for the details.
Following the approval of the General Appropriations Act or GAA, including the 2026 budget of the Department of Education or DepEd, the agency maintained that it will further strengthen the system for the distribution of senior high school voucher to prevent a repeat of discovery of ghost beneficiaries in the program which surfaced along anomalous flood control projects. According to Education Secretary Sani Angara, a stricter 5-step validation process is now being enforced.
Dati binabayaran ka agad, ina-advance yung bayad. Ngayon, tinitingnan talaga yung resulta at kung naka-enroll, tapos yung learner number at nag-institute tayo ng mga safeguards both at the school level and at the DepEd level. So, binabangga namin yung mga database natin na dati hindi ginagawa.
Based on records of the DepEd, the amount involved in the ghost beneficiaries under the SHS voucher program has reached more than 37.58 million pesos. A total of 7 cases have already been filed and are currently under investigation and are also being readied for prosecution. 4 of the cases filed by the DepEd are against 3 schools that were identified as having fictitious students included in the program who allegedly received vouchers. Meanwhile, as a cross-checking of school submissions of learners is conducted and if inconsistencies are found in records showing irregular or discontinued use of the voucher may be revoked. This is Vanessa Cleofas for Eurotv News.
Amid growing speculation about its future, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure says it has received no official notice from Malacanang regarding rumors of its possible disbandment by February 1. Mia Layagin returns.
September last year, when the Marcos administration established the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, tasked to investigate anomalies and irregularities on flood control and other infrastructure projects in the country during the last 10 years. And on December 15, ICI concluded its final hearing for 2025 with resource persons AGA Party List Representative Nicanor Briones and representatives from the Department of Budget and Management. This was the same date that late DPWH Undersecretary Catalina Cabral was supposed to face ICI but did not confirm her attendance. While it has been almost a week since the start of 2026, resumption of hearings and other activities of ICI remain unclear. On their previous statements, ICI said that they are now focused on finalizing remaining information and recommendation to be submitted to the Office of the Ombudsman. While these questions circulate among the public, Senator Amy Marcos seemingly answered on ICI's behalf, revealing alleged disbandment of the commission by February. Marcos claimed that she received information that there will be more cases filed in January and that by February 1, ICI will be dissolved. These rumors grew louder given that Chairperson Justice Andres Reyes is the only one remaining in ICI. Last December, Commissioner Rosana Fajardo resigned weeks after Commissioner Rogelio Babe Singson's resignation. Up until now, there are still no new commissioner for ICI. ICI, when asked about this supposed disbanding, Executive Director Brian Hosaka said that there are no notice from Malacanang over this matter. This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has called on newly promoted military generals to uphold integrity and accountability as he led their oath-taking ceremony in Malacanang. Henry Nicolas reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the oath-taking ceremony in Malacanang Palace for the newly promoted 37 generals and flag officers of the AFP and the Loan Commission graduate of Foreign Pre-Commission Training Institution or FPCTI on Wednesday. At Also present in the ceremony were National Defense Secretary Ireneo Espino and AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. In his message, President Marcos pledged to continue providing leadership toward the AFP's goal of serving the nation with credibility.
Your promotion reflects the Republic's confidence in your judgment, in your command, and your ability to lead amidst pressure and uncertainty. We begin this new year now with new stars and greater responsibilities resting upon your shoulders. Yet your mission remains unchanged. It endures. Your higher rank demands sharper judgment and steadier leadership, especially in an era of complex threats.
According to the Commander-in-Chief, the rising geopolitical tensions, heightened security, and other security concerns, it is crucial to the newly promoted officials must stand their mission and remain true to their sworn duty. Congratulating the newly promoted officials, the Chief Executive said they bear greater responsibilities with their higher rank even as their mission remains unchanged. In his speech, President Marcos reiterated the government's commitment to uphold the welfare of the nation's protectors of the 6.793 trillion pesos national budget for fiscal year 2026.
It is also about the standards that you set, standards that shape behavior, conduct, and decision-making across the entire armed forces. Ang halaga ng isang tunay na pinuno ay nasusukat sa tamang asal at magandang halimbawa na kanyang ipinapakita, hindi sa taas ng kanyang rangko. This principle.
The President reiterated the modernization of the AFP to address its defense and humanitarian missions, protecting communities from threats, providing assistance during disasters, and maintaining peace and efforts throughout the country. This is Henry Nicolas for Eurotv News.
The Philippine Statistics Authority reports a decline in the number of unemployed Filipinos in November, even as the figure remains higher compared to the same period last year. More from this report.
According to the Labor Force Survey of the Philippine Statistics Authority, the number of unemployed Filipinos declined in November 2025. Based on PSA data, unemployment dropped to 2.25 million in November from 2.54 million in October. However, the 2.25 million unemployed Filipinos recorded in November remains higher than the figure posted in November 2024, which stood at only 1.66 million. This means that 44 out of every 1,000 individuals were unemployed in November. Meanwhile, the number of employed Filipinos increased to 49.26 million from 48.62 million in October 2025. On a month-on-month basis, employment gains were recorded in the following sectors: other service activities, wholesale and retail trade, education, construction and accommodation, and food service activities. On the other hand, the biggest declines in employment were recorded in the following sectors: agriculture and forestry, public administration and defense, fishing and aquaculture, financial and insurance activities, and manufacturing. According to the Department of Economy, Planning and Development or DepDev, job losses were concentrated in areas severely affected by strong typhoons in November. Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said the government will prioritize the development of additional skills among workers, allowing Filipino laborers to transition to other sectors that continue to require a larger workforce. This is KRIZZA LOPEZ for Eurotv News.
MRT3 management is apologizing after a video showing severe overcrowding at its Cubao station went viral online, raising concerns over commuter safety during peak hours. Catherine Landicho with the report.
Management of MRT3 issued an apology after videos showing severe overcrowding at Cubao Station went viral on social media on January 5. The circulating video shows passengers struggling to move from the escalator to the station platform where there was barely any space left for waiting commuters when the train arrived.
In a statement, MRT3 acknowledged the complaints and concern raised by the public regarding the incident. According to the management, passengers were allowed to enter the platform despite existing congestion, which led to even more severe overcrowding when the incoming train arrived. MRT3 added that it understands the inconvenience and danger the incident caused to the passengers and it's taking full responsibility for what happened. The management assured the public that it will implement measures to prevent a similar incident from happening again and to improve crowd management and stations, especially during peak hours. This is Catherine Landicho for Eurotv News.
The United States says it has secured a major oil deal with Venezuela, with President Donald Trump announcing the transfer of up to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to American ports. More from Son Santiago.
The United States announced it has reached an agreement with Venezuela to receive millions of barrels of sanctioned oil. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on his Truth Social platform that Venezuela will transfer between 30 and 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. The deal could be worth up to $2.8 billion based on current market prices. According to Trump, the oil will be sold at market prices, which will be controlled by Trump himself. The oil will be taken directly from storage vessels and shipped to American ports. Energy Secretary KRIZZA has been tasked with implementing the agreement. The timeline for the oil transfer remains unclear. Data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration shows the United States consumes about 20 million barrels a day of oil and related products. This means that the expected Venezuelan handover would equal only roughly to 2 to 2.5 days of U.S. demand. This agreement comes just days after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were detained in New York. This Monday, U.S. time, both pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including drug-related ones, during their initial court appearance. It can also be recalled that the U.S. imposed an export blockade in Venezuela last December 2025. Trump has also reiterated his push to open Venezuela's energy sector to major U.S. oil companies after claiming control of the country following the January 3 operation. This is Son Santiago for Eurotv News.
From Japan to the world's biggest basketball stage, undersized but undeniably skilled Japanese point guard Yuki Kawamura is officially returning to the NBA after signing with the Chicago Bulls. Kyle Bassa tells us the details.
Yuki Kawamura will return to the NBA as he is now signed with the Chicago Bulls. The organization announced it this Tuesday after the team and his agent agreed to a two-way contract. Yuki played for the Memphis Grizzlies this past NBA season as their third-string point guard, and he averaged 1.6 points, 0.5 rebounds, and 0.9 assists in a total of 4.2 minutes of playing time. Fans were amazed by his playing style despite the height of only 5'8". He showcased his talents by being a good role player and also a leader in every minute he stepped inside the court. With that short, and Asian basketball players were inspired by his talents and gave hope to them that anyone can step in and play in the biggest basketball league in the world. This is Kyle Bassa reporting for Eurotv News.
Marvel fans are in for another big reveal as the studio drops a fresh teaser for Avengers Doomsday, offering new glimpses of familiar faces and the long-awaited return of the X-Men. More from Sam Martos.
Once again, Marvel has released a brand new teaser for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. In a social media post, Marvel gave fans a sneak peek with a video teaser lasting more than a minute, where the reunion of Professor X, portrayed by Patrick Stewart, is still in the wheelchair and Magneto, played by Ian McKellen, can be seen. At the end of the video, the return of X-Men was also shown. It can be recalled that Marvel Studio released a series of teasers last year before Christmas. In the first teaser, the character of Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America and portrayed by Chris Evans, is seen holding a baby. This was followed by a second teaser where the character Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth, was shown. In the teaser, Thor is seen praying for his father Odin, asking for strength to defeat his enemies and return home for her daughter.
Strength of the old fathers, so that I may fight once more, defeat one more enemy.
Meanwhile, Avengers Doomsday is set to hit theaters on December 18, 2026. This is Sam Martos for Eurotv Showbiz News.
And that's the latest news for tonight. You may visit eurtvph.com for more news and information. You can also catch our live broadcast through our social media accounts and via Pinoy Extreme cable channel. Once again, I am KRIZZA Lopez and this is Eurotv News Thread. Stay safe and have a good night, everyone.